Hi, Terry Snow here. Welcome to Willinga Park. Hi, Terry Snow here. Welcome to Willinga Park. We're delighted that you've all been able to join us this weekend. It's a time for fun and fellowship, as well as preparing your horses and getting them going as well as can possibly be, and moving up your competition ladder. But I hope you don't take it all that seriously, that you enjoy to take a deep breath and relax. We've got fabulous gardens here for the people that aren't involved in their horses, and I'm sure you'll all have a good time. We've got good food and people here to look after you, and we hope that you have a pleasant weekend.
Welcome back to the third day of competition here at Foresight Dressage by the Sea. We'd like to welcome you to the live streaming. We've got a fabulous day today ahead of us, and so stay tuned for the freestyles. We're starting up first today with, what are we starting with today, Jill?
Christine, today we start with the CDIU under 25, I should say CDI, under 25 Grand Prix for riders under 25 years of age. We've got 6 competitors in this class. It starts at 8 o'clock, so we've got a few minutes yet before we get going. And it's a test almost the same as the normal Grand Prix that the so-called senior riders do. But it's just got slightly less number of piaffe steps, and there's probably a slightly easier half-pass tour in canter. Today, judging our Grand Prix for under 25s, we have at B, Vittorio Mbaba from the Philippines. Welcome, Vittorio. At H, Connie Murray from Queensland. And at C, Stephen Clark from Great Britain. But we have got a couple of minutes, so just maybe go and refresh your coffee cups. Remember that we run all day today on live stream, and all day here if you come and spectate. So you can tune in and out as you do your jobs on a busy Saturday. We look forward to you listening to us, and hopefully we can make your day a happy one. We're here at Willinga Park this morning and we have just a short delay. We'll be underway in a matter of minutes. While we're here, we'd like to thank our sponsors of the whole event, our Foresight Interpath. For those of you who have horses, many of your horses may well be already on Foresight, and perhaps more of them should be. But it's a joint supplement with some really wonderful benefits for both humans, dogs, cats, and horses. So you might want to go and have a little look at the trade stand for Foresight. We have some other lovely trade stands here. You can refresh your wardrobe with jodhpurs, saddlecloths, trucks, and we're close to starting. I'd just like to repeat who the judges are. I made a little mistake before. So sitting at C, Chief of the Ground Jury is Connie Bookless from Queensland. At B, Vittorio M. Barber from the Philippines. And at H, Susie Huvenars from Victoria or Tasmania. Not sure where she resides anymore. So we'll be underway in just another couple of minutes. Just got to give the horse a chance to re-warm up. Where's Susie? She's got to get dressed. Where's she coming from?
From under the cabin, so it's not too far away.
What happened to Stephen?
I don't know, the miscommunication about times or something, he was still in bed. So, anyway. I hope this is not going to be, it's such a tight schedule today, I hope it's not going to screw up the
What would be estimated is the run till is like half hour, 5 minutes, 10 minutes.
at least another 5 minutes, possibly 10.
Put the drone back up.
Yeah.
I can't get the drone.
Or
That's okay.
we've got pictures of yesterday.
Yeah, okay. It's just a... So all the riders have been told out there, they know that
Good
they're
job, Susie. She's got a cup of tea in her hand. Carrying it.
You lose chicken, drop chicken. Okay. Drop chicken. I lose the chicken out, please. Right. Can you go to yesterday B-roll montage? B-roll montage is 16 minutes. This could be up to like
It'll probably be only be, it'll only be,
so we got a B-roll. It might be a bit short enough. It might be short enough, but we need the B-roll on now.
horse is on its way.
It won't be very
Got to
long.
get rid of this lady in purple. Tell her to
Don't
piss
worry
off.
about it.
Oh, Susie, I've got hair, right?
I've got the ranking up for the,
We should have the rankings
for the start.
Yeah, start list to be good.
start list. I think it should be up now. Show the start list. Sorry.
So welcome back to Dressage by the Sea for the third day of competition. We've got the under 25 Grand Prix and our first horse is circling the arena. Who do we have here? Jill?
Our first competitor today is Clary Plenty from riding Queensland. Queensland is a 19-year-old mare by Quando Quando, owned and ridden by Clary Palenti.
We'd like to thank the team here at Willinga Park for providing such a fabulous venue to hold this Dressage by the Sea, the Foresight Dressage by the Sea 2023. We've got a beautiful 18 degrees here today at present, so it's a very pleasant day if you'd like to come down and watch some exciting combinations. So entering the arena, our first horse of the day, Clary Palenti, riding Queensland. Now this is a slight variation on the Grand Prix test. What are we going to see here today, Jill?
Well, just to help you through the test, it's just slightly easier in a few spots in comparison to the more normal Grand Prix. Still requires extended trot. That's the first movement we'll see here now. There's a mark at the beginning and the end of this movement for transitions, and we talked quite a lot about transitions being clear and crisp. That could have been crisper for me at K. Now we do 4 half passes, 5 metres either side of the centre line. So looking for the symmetry, the crossing, nice crossing, good quality trot, and nice changes of bend in both directions. Then at R, she'll make a transition to passage, so more specific than yesterday on the marker. Yes, and that was clear. Comes towards, it's a half volte to do piaffe towards the judge, whether you do 8 to 10 steps. A little bit more activity would have been good. Here a bit more lift in the passage, another volte round to the left, which is really quite nice to ride. Heading off into medium trot, medium being not as big as extended trot. Back into passage. Piaffe again here at D as she comes to the centre line, so as you can see a little bit early, and that not established the horse not keeping coming with its back legs, getting irregular. And then at V, across the arena, doing extended walk. Nice relaxation, taking the bridle forward and down, which is what we like to see.
That's quite an unusual line in this test, isn't it?
Yeah, a little tight turn there at R for collected walk, but actually that's probably quite helpful. As you make the turn, you can gather.
Collect.
Yeah, you can collect. Walking all the way up to C though, and at C she'll go into canter right. Now there we saw some trot strides before the canter, and so that's not direct to canter. This is extended canter. I'd like that to be more uphill. comes around the arena, lots of time to prepare for the half pass at P, and this is the same half pass. Oh, she's begun what I call a little bit early. It's P up to X, and then the pirouette is at I. Okay, and so the horse is what we call climbing in that pirouette, kind of you having to use its head to get round the turn. Now, 2 times. There should be 9 of them.
She got them.
Oh, good, you were counting, thank you.
I was counting.
Few. And then a repeat of the other side, so half pass from V to X and then a pirouette at I. So let's see if she gets... Yeah, she's a little bit early. They might need to see that. I'm not sure.
So what will the judges do there?
Well, those that are strong about things will take a mark off at least. She could even get an error of course for it, but we won't know that until the end. 1 times, 15 once. Yeah, well,
and she got them?
She got them, fabulous. Coming now, she comes down the centre line. This is the final line. Passage, piaffe, passage, halt.
So it is quite a nice test to watch those different lines.
Yeah, I actually enjoyed that test.
And trending on about 65%.
Yes, Clary did that in a pretty good fashion. Just a few problems with the piaffe in particular. I think there might have been a movement where the one judge at least did notice her starting a little bit early.
And so in this test, they're looking for the piaffe to be more on the spot. More
on the spot and of a better quality, shall we say, than you might see in the Inter 2. It's much harder to be on the spot and keep going. So we have an official score. Is that still waiting? Not quite there yet.
Our next horse is circling the arena.
The next horse into the arena is rider Mary Nitschke, riding Utopian Cardinal, a 19-year-old warm blood gelding by Regardez Moi. And meanwhile, we have a score for Clary Plenty, riding Queensland, of 65.727. And I can read there that it's her personal best at this level. So well done, Clary. Good into halt. And bright departure. It's a nice positive start.
Good balance.
Yeah, it shows good ability to reach in the extended trot, but we could always say a bit more underneath with the back legs. Now the half passes, looking for the symmetry. Good crossing, maintain the rhythm of the trot well through the first 2. He's quite nice and springy, this horse. Oh, a little blur on the very last one, but I think in general that was pretty nicely ridden. Looking for the crisp transition at R. And that was, yep, easy. More lift in the passage around the half circle. I really like the half circle.
Yes, it's really.
And here the Piaffe getting into it now. Yep, just coming a little bit high in the neck, a little bit against the bridle.
Mary trending on about 65% at present.
Just getting a little slow with the back legs. That's better. This is a better Piaffe than I think she did before. Again, just maybe a little bit tight in the neck. So of all the things in this test that they've made a little bit harder, it would seem to me to be the collected walk, because there's more of it. From R all the way round to C, and very much in front of the judges. So lots of time for everybody to be anticipating what's coming up. Again, could have had a little bit more upwards lift into the canter.
But she's off.
Yeah, and terrific.
And they're really looking secure together. I think they've been together a couple of years now, Mary and Cardinal.
Yeah, the partnership is confident in buttons and...
And that does take a little bit of time sometimes, doesn't it?
Oh, I think it takes a long time.
Quite a nice pirouette.
Yeah.
Definitely looking very polished out there.
Oh, well, I think there were 9. Just a little bit wild towards the end in the swaying. A little bit fast, just a bit running towards the centre line in the canter in that half pass, and she maybe just needs to take a little breath. And I love the wanting to go, but we have to control it a bit more. And there were 15, again, in a little bit too much swinging movement from both the horse and the rider for a really high mark. Final centre line.
It's quite a tight competition. She's trending on 65 also.
and a fine finish for Mary. Maintained it pretty well throughout. I think she looks like she's happy. I think she should be happy. 65 or thereabouts. And we'll wait for the official score. So we have an official score for Mary Nitschke and Utopian Cardinal of 65.427. Puts her in second place, just a whisker behind Clary Plenty on 65.7. Circling the arena, next competitor, Martha riding JW Limitless. JW Limitless is a 15-year-old gelding by Lessing, owned by Jackie Winspear and ridden by Martha.
So just a reminder, if you're just tuning in, you can participate in the judging with the Spectators Judging app. You can download it from the Apple Store or the Google Play. Why don't you give it a go? So we've got our third horse entering the arena. In this under 25 Grand Prix, thanks to Foresight, the major sponsor here at Dressage by the Sea. Looks like a good start to me. What do you think?
Yeah, a nice beginning. It's pretty straight. Might not have been quite 100% square at the halt. But this is a attractive looking horse. And here in the half passes, she's got the placement going quite well, but just not always maintaining the bend, especially to the left. And losing, ran out of room. So my comment about the placement wasn't, well, I think just didn't travel sidewards enough to the left.
To the passage at R. This is a bit of a different variation of the normal Grand Prix.
Eight to 10 steps of piaffe. Needs to be a little bit softer and rounder and more lift in the passage. Off we go. Just struggling to establish the passage. Just you can see the horse's head a little bit up and out. It's what we call against the bit. That's just bringing her marks down. She's just running on about 63% at the moment. It's got a nice walk though. It's got good reach. regular. And here, collected walk,
Right in front of the judges.
right in front of the judges, yes.
Very attractive black gelding. Trending on about 64% currently.
It looks a little happier in its frame.
In the canter.
In the canter.
Yeah.
And it has a good canter. So here, so she was less cheating there on the start. I think that started at P. That was,
And probably settling into the test a little bit more now as it's gone on.
yes.
It's always, sometimes we start with a lot of anticipation.
Quite good in the pirouette. Kept the canter, controlled it, even when it looked maybe it was she was going to lose it. Here we go for the 2 times. Ooh, she only just fitted the 9 in. The horse was kind of accelerating throughout, and that is why it took her right to the end. Has big enough changes, so she just needed to maintain the collection a little bit more in those. Oh.
A little kerfuffle at the end.
Right at the end, she did the 15, and then I think the horse was going to do 16.
And
She managed to correct it, so
Coming to the final centre line, the Piaf Passage Piaf.
so not 100% straight. The quarters are just a little bit left.
And how many steps are they looking for in that final one, is it?
It's still 8 to 10,
Yeah.
and straightness is always important. Oh, oh dear.
And he's off.
Somebody probably clapped on the sideline, I think. So just a little bit more roundness and throughness to the bridle, trending on 64.4 at the moment. But a good result for Martha on this horse, I think fairly new to the level.
So entering the arena, we have our next competitor. I think we've also got a score.
We do have a score for Martha Ulm and JW Limitless of 64.573, and that puts her in 3rd position. Circling the arena is our 4th competitor, Dana Krause, riding Tattidger VDS, a 12-year-old warm-blood gelding by Regarde Moi, owned and ridden by Dana Krause.
If you're just tuning in to the live streaming, we're coming to you from the beautiful Willinga Park here on day 3 of competition, and you're watching the under 25 Grand Prix.
Good immobility in that halt. She held it. You do need to hold these halts for a good 3 seconds, but I think that was really proving the point. And the judges liked it. Setting off into extended trot. Hind legs could be more active.
So started quite well. She's trending on 69.
Just want a bit more bend and suppleness in these half passes. Coming to R for the first attempt at passage on the half circle. Into the piaffe on the centre line. Just ran out of steam a little bit coming into it. Got some better steps just near S. And again, some better steps a little bit later in the piaffe. Dana just needs to try and get the back legs a little bit more underneath in the passage, and that will make it easier going into the piaffe and coming out. Here in the extended walk, nicely relaxed. It's quite good there in the collected walk. Getting ready for the collected canter strike off, and nice and prompt. Coming up to the half pass left. The bend is better in the half pass in canter. That was a nice placement. Keep the oomph, keep the oomph. Come on, good. So Dana's been doing a good job with this horse. Apparently trained it herself from the beginning. And you can see that she's certainly in these changes. The horse is with her. There's a good understanding of the okay, not talking. That was just unfortunate. Again, we want more bend in the right half pass. And more suppleness, and if it was a bit more supple, then it would be a little easier coming into the next movement.
We're not going to talk for this one.
No, I'm not, nothing. Here we go, 15 ones.
I think that's what we've got to do, hold our breath.
Okay.
She got them.
She did well.
line at the end, it really does highlight the straightness, doesn't it?
Yes, well, us and the judges at Judge at Sea are certainly looking at that.
We can see everything. But a great effort from Dana. I'm just waiting for a score to come to hand. But she should be very happy with that.
Yeah, so she's, according to the helpful information that we have, this would be, if she continues, the score continues the way it has been, she'll be getting a personal best at this level. So you can only, you always want to do your best, and it's great if the judges recognise it as well. And an official score for Dana Krause and Tatin Javidi S, 63.632%, putting her in 4th place, and also a personal best for Dana. So well done, Dana. And now circling the arena, Layla Williams, riding Ampersand. Ampersand is a 12-year-old gelding by Ampere, bred by Regina Brand and ridden by Layla.
The bell has rung.
So it took a little while to get started on the extended trot. Then there were some good steps. I'm going to have to mention that the transitions could have been clearer at either end. And there, as I said, there is a separate mark for those.
But very,
Nice.
very expressive, isn't it?
Yeah, and lovely flowing, fluent trot in the half passes. Oh, might have
Oops,
started a
bit
little
early.
early. But she's making sure she shows it. Oh, come on, stick with the program.
Looks good front on. Maybe travelling a little bit.
Yeah, it's just a little struggle to keep its balance. It almost gets some sidewards movement. Here we go. And then it's, you know, it's got lots of talent for this, but it's, the horses isn't probably strong enough yet to hold it all the way around the circle. So you get a lack of constancy in the movement.
But when he gets it, wow.
Yeah, it'll be really nice. There, lovely lift. That's a good moment for Passage. That should score well and good into it.
Yeah, very good into it. And that was a
Yeah.
better attempt. Yep.
Yeah, that's really good Passage.
That should score fairly well.
She got some sevens for the Piaffe down there at D. Walk, not so relaxed in the walk.
Sometimes the case with those really energetic, expressive horses. It almost becomes a trained relaxation, an aid for the horse to be loose and long and stretching. Oh, she's made a mistake.
Yes, okay. I think she actually set off starting to do her twos. And so she'll get an error, of course, which will be 2% off the final mark. Oh, and she hasn't heard. So little Connie's having to, the judge at C's having to get her to start again. In some ways, this, while she'll lose 2%, which is it's a large amount of points to lose.
Got a little canter around.
She get to have a little canter around and just regroup here and really set off with a bit more purpose in the extended canter.
The beautiful waterfall in the back there painting a very pretty picture. The gardens here at Willinga Park are spectacular. And it definitely can sit.
Yeah, it's good. It's certainly a very talented horse and new to this level.
So why I would say there, while she got the changes, there's just a slight connection issue. You can see the horse nodding its head for a better mark. A little bit more connected and a little bit more through. Those terrible words that we always use. We want the horse more engaged and more connected and more uphill. Maybe a little bit more forward would help that. What do you think, Jill?
Well, yeah, at this point,
tricky balance, isn't it?
it's always tricky, but you need the power, and you need to want the horse to keep going. This horse looks like it wants to keep going, but it's not confident.
A little shy.
So it's a little shy, and yeah, I think really it's just about acceptance of the bridle. It's a pretty clever horse because
And that's probably why she's being a little careful.
yeah. And this transition from canter should be at trot, should be at D, so right there, and then forward into collected trot before you start passage at L. No, that's asking quite a lot in a short space of time. Then Piaffe at X.
And it might start to go off once he passages. Definitely a horse with a lot of potential for the future, and this will be a great building block.
Yeah, I really think the horse will grow from this weekend. She'll probably be, she's got to qualify for the freestyle. I think she will have done that. So another round in the arena tomorrow should help this horse. If she can ride the, a careful freestyle. So she's trending now on about 61.3, remembering that that's already taking into account the error of course. So potentially she was up there about 63 or 4. Just waiting for the official score. A score for Layla Williams and ampersand of 61.077, fifth place currently, and a personal best. Well done to Layla. Circling the arena, Jessica Durtell and Zanzibar, our last competitor in this class, the Grand Prix for under 25s. Zanzibar is a 19-year-old gelding by San Remo and is ridden by Jessica Durtell.
So the bell has rung and Jessica Durtell on Zanzibar is entering the arena. She's our last competitor for this class. I hope you're enjoying the live streaming brought to you from Dressage by the Sea.
Very straight and balanced into the halt. I think they could have been a bit nicer there. Some of them got a bit keener and moved the mark up. She got started off on a 75, so That was good. So well positioned. More bend would have been nice for extra, but she kept rhythm throughout. Here, clean transition to passage. It's got nice spring. Nearly, not quite equal striding behind. And then here, front on. One of the reasons for putting it front on is so you can see these things, and of course you can see what I'm seeing. Now down here, when you're doing piaffe down this end of the arena, the judges from this end are not going to be able to see the swaying that we saw when it was front on. So you just mark what you see.
The spectators are enjoying this, trending on 69 with the spectators.
That's got purpose. We like to see the walk enthusiastic, but relaxed. Collected walk should still remain enthusiastic, but be shortened and heightened in the step and in the carriage, and still remain a regular 4-beat walk.
They definitely paint a very elegant picture in the arena. A very light-footed gelding.
Good bending and placement of that half pass. And really good balance in that pirouette.
It was super positioning, wasn't it? It was very centred.
Yeah. Receiving an 8 from one of the judges for that pirouette. Good, she's going well. Looks great going across the short side. And correctly not starting early for the half pass. Whilst it's possible as a rider to make some adjustments to the test, start a little bit early, etc. It's the judges are watching, and so they're going to notice these things. And of course, if you start early, you have less steepness, and that's evident when you're watching. And they were very easy. So we always talk about harmony, and this is a harmonious picture for sure. Nice clean transition to trot, then into passage. And then This is not the best for this horse for showing off its piaffe, because we get to see it from in front twice. However, that's just what she's got with this horse. So
She's done a great job.
She's done a terrific job. It was a lovely test.
Welcome to Willinga Park Dressage by the Sea 2023, and I'm here with Jessica Durtell. Hi.
Hi.
Just a quick question. How many times have you been here before?
So this is my 4th year here at Willinga Park. It's such an amazing facility. Terry's done an amazing job. I think it's pretty cool that not only that it's an amazing facility for the horses, but it's a world-class facility that spectators can come and see, and that it's amazing for everyone to see.
And how many horses do you have here this weekend?
So we've brought 5 this year for this team, and one of them I'm not riding, but I've got 4 to ride, and my little student, Zali Mills, is riding in the children's test on her horse.
So it's a busy weekend for you.
Always a busy weekend with Future Farms.
And so you're also from a fairly busy, competitive family, and you do other things other than dressage, don't you?
Yep, so I've started with the Arabian horses where I originated from. Our farm has gone through endurance. We compete with the Arabians all the time. We've done Arabian flat racing, the dressage, done a little bit of jumping, a bit of everything.
And were you here last weekend with Arabians?
So I was in Sydney last week with the Arabians at the Australian Arabian Championships.
And how many horses did you have there? I believe there was a lot.
Yes, so we had 19 horses there.
So fairly busy family running a busy stables. A couple of questions. What's something that you can't live without in your stables or in your tack room?
I think that's definitely a hard one. We have a diverse range of amazing sponsors that have my tack rooms filled to the brim at all times, that keep myself and my horses in tip-top condition and comfortability.
Great. Is there something about you that maybe the viewers wouldn't know that you'd like to share with us?
I feel like a lot of people know that I started with the Arabians, but I feel many dressage people wouldn't know that I've competed for Australia in the UAE for endurance.
Well done. So quite talented. And is there a sponsor or maybe a number one supporter that you'd like to give a shout out to?
So definitely a massive thank you to Terry for this amazing facility, to Sable Farm for you following me on this amazing journey with these horses. I really couldn't do it without them, and my amazing family and team at Future Farms that have supported me every step of the way, and it's been an amazing journey and I can't thank everyone enough.
So we wish you all the best and great success over the weekend. We'll be following you, and have a great show.
Thank you.
hard to narrow down the feel of riding into one word or even a couple of words. There's a lot of emotions that you come across while you're riding, as does your horse. You're listening to every movement, every breath. You're basically having a conversation with them every step of the way. There isn't really any force involved. I think that's part of having a good partnership. When you're out there flying around a big cross country, you're going as fast as you can to make time. Quite frankly, terrifying jumps sometimes. And it's an amazing feeling to have a partner who puts their heart and soul into it with you. And when you come through the finish line of a tough cross country and you've ridden it well and your horses jump well, it's just the best feeling. There's no better feeling in the world. Hi, I'm Hazel Shannon. I'm Willinga Park's eventing rider. At the moment, I'm sitting in the cross-country schooling paddock at Coneycroft Farm in the UK. I have ridden ever since I can remember. My family are horsey, had a good jumping horse as a kid, and that encouraged me to keep going down that path. And then when I finished school, I knew I didn't want to go and study. All I could think about was horses, so that's how I ended up following a career in horses. I love competition, I love competing, so you know, the next competition or whatever I'm aiming for really keeps me inspired and motivated. But also I do just love the everyday riding and training of the horses, and that is also something that motivates me to keep going. Willinga Park Clifford and I have been in a partnership for close to 11 years now. It all started when he was bred in Tasmania for racing. He was not hugely motivated. Apparently he would wander out of the start gates. There was no urgency. He was a little unassuming and didn't show his talents early on. He was the next door neighbour's horse at the time. Me and Clifford made our way through the levels sort of slowly but surely. I was learning the ropes of the sport, as was he. In quite a quick amount of time, we found ourselves competing at the top level. He has won the Australian International 5-star 3-day event 3 times. He's the only horse to have done so. Wendy Ward and Alan Jennings, who was the owner of Clifford through the first few years of our career together, they were enthusiasts. Alan loved the partnership we were forming and he loved the sport, and he was all on board for us to continue rising through the ranks of eventing. Unfortunately and very suddenly he died from cancer, which was devastating to Wendy and all of us who knew Alan, who was a really great guy. Clifford's had become quite successful at this stage, and a little bit too successful for myself to afford to buy. We started looking around for other options, which is incredibly hard to find someone who can afford to purchase and own a horse and keep a horse running at the top level of the sport, let alone wants to do that. So I was incredibly lucky that Terry had stepped in and actually became the owner of Clifford, Terry and Jeanette. So the first time I met Terry, he had owned the horse for max 2 days, I would say. I had him entered for a competition in Goulburn. It was the State Eventing Championships at the time. Terry and Jeanette both turned up to have a look at the new horse they'd just bought. Funnily enough, and the timing could not have been better, we ended up winning the cup and I could send a nice big trophy home with the new owners of Willinga Park Clifford. This was 5 or 6 years ago now, and since then Clifford has had the biggest successes of his career. My groom for what was meant to be 4 weeks is Bronte Buttle.
Hazel's definitely a good boss. She's very hands-on. She's always incredibly prepared. She spent a very long time not having a groom, so she has her own list, she has her own programs, and she makes it very easy for me to know where she's at, what she needs. I always feel very supported.
Even though Bronte is my groom, we do share a lot of the chores. It is not just a me riding and Bronte doing the work situation. I enjoy being involved in it. The competitions and the amount of competitions, the amount of training facilities, the amount of help, there's just a lot in a small area compared to Australia, which is so vast. There are a lot of opportunities, there's a lot of competitions, a lot of very good riders and very good horses. It gives you other ideas to bring back and to put into your own training systems. So at the moment we're in the final 3.5 weeks preparation into the World Equestrian Championships. That's in Italy, Protoni. We've very nearly made teams in the past, but we haven't quite got there. So to have finally achieved this goal Clifford and I have been working so hard towards it's truly an amazing feeling. I kind of think about preparing for an eventing competition in 4 parts. You have your 3 disciplines, the dressage, the cross country and the show jumping, all which require different kinds of training as they're asking a different question of the horse and of the rider. And the 4th thing is the fitness for the cross country. It's long and it's an endurance question, so you definitely have to spend some time getting the horse and yourself fit enough. We do everything we possibly can to have him feeling and looking great. It goes from the sort of feeds we use, the sort of supplements we use, regular icing of his legs after a strenuous activity such as jumping or galloping. The other thing I'm really careful of is the surfaces I ride on, particularly Clifford, particularly when they get older. You want to do everything you can to have them feeling comfortable. For example, if the cross-country course here or at an event is a bit hard or a bit too soft, he doesn't need to go and run around a course. He's done so many of them, he knows his job, so I think some days it's better just to sit it out. I get asked a lot about nerves and fear, and of course I get them. I think you'd be mad not to get them. Sometimes imagining how they might not jump well, which is not great. But once we leave the start box and we get out there, the fear and the nerves kind of disappear because there's not a lot of room left for any thoughts apart from intense focus on how you're getting the horse to the jump, the speed you're travelling at, the balance you're at, to give them the best possible chance at jumping the jump well. People often comment about my face. It looks quite frankly furious, but I am completely in the zone of concentration and I hear and see nothing.
Year partnership. They've done 44 competitions together and won 11 of them. 25% success rate. That's quite something.
Just looks such an old soldier. I think he's been here many times before. Some horses are just like that. They're just have had many lives, I'm sure. They have such a wisdom about them, and this is one of them.
How did it feel out there, Hazel?
Oh, it was tough to keep up on your minute markers. I was down, and luckily good old Thoroughbred can kick it and it goes a bit faster. He was hanging out for me to kick it the whole way, but just with all that windiness, I was like, no, we have to keep a bit of containment on this, but he's great. He's such a fighter and he's such a jumper, and I'm so appreciative for him.
And how did he feel at the end?
He felt like he'd go around again. He's always like that. There's no limit to his tank. But I don't know if I could go around again. I think I'd use up all my energy and nerve.
Perspective is kind of a big thing for me. When I'm at a big competition, I like to sometimes just remember how I would have felt when a younger me was looking forward to now, and just being grateful for having the opportunity to even be there. It's been such an honour to have the trust from Terry to come here with horses, He's had to have a lot of faith. There's been some highs, but there's also been some pretty big lows on this trip, and that's just horses and that's just sport. And for him to keep sticking by us and keep supporting us so we can have a chance to come good and get some good results. It's a huge, huge commitment to send a rider and horses overseas. He's done that with myself. He's also done that with Jaden Brown for the dressage. It personally does amazing things for our lives and our careers, but we will come back to Australia and we'll keep supporting the sport. I think myself and all of Australia in equestrian disciplines are very fortunate that Terry has such ambitions for Australia equestrian sport. He's put a lot of support and time and effort into various disciplines, not just eventing. I really hope that we can help to make the sport as great as Terry's ambitions are.
And this is Brianna Pekanak riding Haberfield Peregrine. Peregrine is a New Forest bred pony, or gelding, by Leburnan Park, Piccadilly, ridden by Brianna Pekanek today. The judges for this test are Connie Murray, sitting at H, at C, Stephen Clark from Great Britain, and at B, Vittorio Barber from the Philippines.
So welcome back to the third day of competition at Dressage by the Sea. If you're just tuning in, we've got the young riders individual test, the CDIY, and we've got the first horse entering the arena. This class is sponsored by Shepherd's Electrical.
Yes, Shepherd's Electrical do all the work here at Willinga Park, which, as you can imagine, it's a pretty big job. So in this test, the young riders test, it's a test of about pre-St George level. It's actually a really complicated test, unusual lines. Here we're doing shoulder in to the left, change rein across the arena, and then shoulder into the right. That part, not so complicated, and Pekanak needing a little bit more angle in both shoulder ins. Turn down the centre line, you half pass to B, half pass right, and then when you get to B, you do a 8 metre circle or volte to the left. So lots of changes of bend, looking for the suppleness in the horse. From B, you go across to H in medium trot. And he set off with some clear purpose and then just ran sort of a little bit slowed down towards the end. At C is a halt and rein back of 5 steps. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Good diagonal steps and directly into trot. Now extended trot all the way across the diagonal. And Pekanak, again, good steps between M and X, and then just gets a little bit on the forehand and runs out of steam by the end. Here again, the half pass, this time to the left, to E. We'd like to see a bit more bending in the horse. Add circle right 8 metres to at E, and then another medium trot back across to M. Coming up to C, it's medium walk. So in this test, there are 3 walks. There's medium walk, then extended walk, and then collected walk. So all of those are related to the length of stride. Medium is a bigger walk than collected, but extended is a bigger walk still, or covers more ground. And the frame changes. So collected, raised neck on the vertical, short high strides, medium walk, longer neck, slightly lower, marching, extended walk, stretched out neck, lower, and the longer stride the horse can have with good overtrack. This is the into the collected canter. where the horse is going to turn down the centre line and half pass to the left. Do a flying change near E and half pass back to the centre line. To G.
So just a reminder, if you're tuning into the live streaming and you'd like to have a go at judging, we have a spectators judging app that you can download and try your hand at judging.
So there should have been 5 4x changes, and due to a mistake on the second one where she did 5, she kind of ran out of room, so she only fitted 3 in. This is the canter pirouette at X, a half pirouette at X. So the accuracy was there, but the collection a bit lacking. Counter canter into flying change at A. Again, this horse needs to come a bit rounder, more together. Then we need to see more sitting. There it's trying to sit. Good, and we saw some sitting, and she was happy. She gave him a little pat. And a counter canter into flying change at A. Nice clean change. Now 5 changes every 3rd stride. Oh, so late behind on the final change. But before that, it was going well. Extended canter. There's a mark for the collection and the flying change at the end, and so while she did the flying change, it needed to be more collected before the change. Coming up to X, where it's halt immobility. And a big pat. Doesn't actually say you have to pat the horse at the end of the test.
Not a lot of patting.
That was really lovely to see. I think she's for all these young riders. This is this competition's a really big deal, and
I think it's a big deal for every rider.
yeah, it's a big deal for everyone. It's a big deal for us up here in the commentary too, I can tell you. But it's really important that they enjoy the time in the arena. Their horses are happy. And here we have a score of 60.294%. I'm just not. A score for Brianna Pekanak and Haberfield Peregrine of 60.294%. Circling the arena, Clara Denny and Bello Gallico, a 15-year-old Westphalian gelding by Bellissimo NRW, owned and ridden by Clara Denny.
This class sponsored by Shepherd's Electrical. They do all the work here at Willinga Park. They do a great job. This test really does show up lots of flexion and bend. It's really changing direction. There's lots of different lines to the normal Pre-St. George.
Yeah, it's certainly a test of suppleness. And that's a good thing for, I think, to develop that. More than a
Early
good
on.
thing, but it's a really good thing for young riders to appreciate that horses have to be able to move from one direction to the other
With ease.
with ease. So we kind of term that 4.5 steps back. The first step was just with the front leg, but they were good steps. So judges are happy to sort of reward that with 6.5 or 7. So she's going along well on about 66% at the moment. And it is it's a very balanced picture. It's in a good frame most of the time. She's kept the same level of energy. And just a little bit of a fall in around her inside leg to the start, that medium trot, so that didn't come off so well. Here we see the 3 walks. That was medium. Now it's extended H to B. Now collected walk. So for her medium walk, she got an 8 from one judge. Extended walk, a 7. Into the half pass left. Flying change and half pass right. This is flowing, this test is flowing really, really nicely. She's getting better in each movement. The horse is really with her today. Oh, and then just that last change. And yesterday Glenys was talking about running out of power for the last few changes, and really all the way through I'm saying, while I'm counting, I'm thinking, come on, a bit more energy, a bit more energy. So keep the energy for this pirouette. And a little bit large. Showed some balance and some sitting. And they're not expecting them to be brilliant at this level. Whenever it's a half pirouette,
It's the beginning, isn't it?
it's the beginning. So more importantly, keep the canter and show the sitting.
Better to the right.
Yeah, more willing to do that. And, you know, she gained at least a mark from each judge on the second pirouette. 3 times. Good impression coming towards this end of the arena. Nice and uphill, worthy of a good pat. They should score well. Yes, once again, they're getting some happy marks. But they're well deserved. It's a good test. Good, and that was nicely performed as well. And I really think Clara will be very pleased with her performance today. Together, they were a harmonious combination. And the judges will see that, as they already have, and reward it. Have an official score for Clara Denny riding Bello Gallico of 67.549%, and that's a personal best for Clara and currently puts her into first position. Well done, Clara. Circling the arena, our next competitor in this young riders individual test, sponsored by Shepherd's Electrical, is Cody Tupper and Endless Dream, a 14-year-old Dutch warm blood gelding by Crack C.
So for a higher mark in that first shoulder in, we're looking for maybe a little bit more around the inside leg, a little bit more angle. Showing some good crossover in the half pass. So these circles are really showing balance of the horse and the suppleness of the horse. What are they looking for in the rein back, Jill?
Well, it should start from a immobile and square halt, and then 5 diagonal steps back. Then from the diagonal steps backwards directly into trot.
There's quite a lot that makes up that.
It's a big ask. And of course, maintaining a softness throughout. Looking like it's easy. So a little bit more bending needed to the left in this horse. It's a bit happier bending to the right. So she makes a easier turn at E onto the medium trot because it's around her right leg. She's going along quite well at 66%.
A lot of walk.
There's a lot of walk. Good time to catch up on your breathing, I think. Resettle yourself in the saddle and prepare for the canter tour. Half pass to the left. Again, a bit more bend, but he's a bit finds it a bit easier in canter. Four times changes. And it's a big horse with a big stride, so fitting them in It's actually tricky because she has to shorten him up quite a lot, and then the skill of the rider would be to try and ride the change bigger but not lose the canter and the balance throughout. And lost some balance and confidence in that half pirouette to the left. Chance to redeem herself to the right. Not really enough control of the turning in that pirouette. And the threes came off as well. A little bit of swinging. But still, you know, capable of giving her a 7 for those sorts of things. Oh, she said, I'm off. I'm going to show them. I can go and collect and change. And was rewarded with an 8 from one judge for being brave and having a go. So for Cody Tupper and Endless Dream, trending around about 65.5. And a score for Cody Tupper and Endless Dream of 65.735% and second position. Circling the arena, our next competitor, Bethany Lawson-Ho, riding Spring. Spring is a 17-year-old warm blood mare by Sir Donahall, owned by Xana Northam and today ridden by Bethany Lawson-Ho.
The bell has rung. The rider has 45 seconds to enter the arena here at Dressage by the Sea. This class is sponsored by Shepherd's Electrical. So the entry is always an important part of the test, isn't it? This is where we can make our first impression to the judges.
Yeah, first impressions count. And even possibly when you're circling around the arena, although the judge is probably still looking at the, the previous test.
It's an impression, isn't it?
It's an impression. But certainly they start judging when you enter the arena, and everyone's hoping that you're going to ride towards them straight, in a bold way, and make a nice halt. If you can make a halt that doesn't go down on the front legs and sits and is square, then you're kind of preparing the judges for the fact that your horse...
To give you a good mark.
To give you a good mark, yeah. And this is what you're up for.
So Bethany started quite well, trending on about 65%.
remembering that the Mark 6 is satisfactory and the Mark 7 is fairly good, and that judges have the ability to give a half mark, so 6.5. So they're thinking that this horse is doing quite a good job, but not enough to give it an 8 yet in all of these movements. But certainly giving a good splashing of 7s. Again, needs more bend in the half pass, and it could be more steady in its frame.
So what I'm noticing on those circles with a lot of these riders is that horses could bend a little bit more through the rib cage, bend around the rider's inside leg. It's,
yes, I agree. I think that bending around the inside leg, not through the neck, is a little bit lacking in this.
It's not just, it's an overall impression of the...
That's right.
Yeah.
It is. And then if you bend around the inside leg, then you have to remember that you have an outside leg to hold the quarters from swinging out. So it's between both legs.
And typically, the bending starts from the leg and not from the rein.
Absolutely, yes. And and that's this test, as we said, it's set up with all these changes of direction and tight lines. And that's what it's assessing.
Yeah. And that's what it is, isn't it? It's an assessment.
Yes.
It's a check on your training. Doesn't always go to plan. But Bethany doing a great job here.
That was a nice change from left to right. I still would like the horse to bend more to the left. It's more comfortable bending to the right.
Were you counting?
I was counting, and I saw 5 4s.
Great.
Getting ready for the pirouette. Now, it is supposed to happen right up at X, so it's quite a long distance of preparation. So quite a lot of the time you can over-prepare and actually run out of steam.
Totally agree. And I always think when I'm coming out of that corner, right forward to the pirouette.
Yes.
Collect, then the pirouette.
Yes.
Where you see them starting to collect from the corner,
From the
you
corner.
know that maybe...
Yeah. It wouldn't matter if it said do it between F and X. It actually says at X. So, you know, that's just upping the requirement level of the test. Nice change at A.
Spectators liking what they're seeing here. Trending on about 64%. So thank you for those spectators that are participating in the spectators judging. And she's off. Little mistake there at the onto the centre line. Unfortunate. It looks pretty straight from front on.
So looking, just trending around the 64% mark. Bethany pretty pleased with what she did. We just wait for the final confirmation of the score, and it is score for Bethany Lawson Ho and Spring of 63.97% and third position. As we wait for Hannah Rockwell, our next competitor, to make her way down, we want to thank the sponsor of this class, Shepherd's Electrical. Shepherd's Electrical do all the work here at Willinga Park, and it would be a huge job, and for which we're very grateful. Hannah Rockwell, Bowman's Diorella, an 11-year-old mare by Dankeschön and owned and ridden by Hannah Rockwell.
So the bell has rung and Hannah is entering the arena in this young rider's individual test. These young riders making the most of their opportunity here at Willinga Park, Dressage by the Sea. Fantastic experience for anybody that's competing here.
So a little bit more quarters out than perhaps shoulder in.
So that's quite hard, isn't it, to come in and turn and go directly into shoulder in. You don't really get a chance to be.
No, your horse has to be well in front of you as you trot forwards from X and bending around your inside leg and not escaping. And so it's a little bit easy to escape with the quarters out from the turn and into the shoulder in. And here again, you can see a little bit of escaping outwards with the hind legs on that circle. So that's something for Hannah to think about in the long run, or probably hopefully in the short run, actually, that she needs to just get the horse between both legs a little bit more.
Super hold.
Yeah, terrific.
2, 3, 4, 5. So it could be a little straighter, but...
Yeah, straightness wasn't one of the words that I mentioned before about the rein-back, but yes, the step should be straight. But because you're next to the wall, you'll often see horses step out and sidewards away from the wall.
I definitely prefer those tests where you get in and then you maybe get going a little bit before you start anything.
Yeah.
So it's definitely there for a reason. The judges want to see right from the get-go where you're at.
That's right.
This horse can definitely go forward.
Yeah, it's got a nice way of lengthening a stride and maintaining air time.
And here we go into the world's longest walk tour. But again, it's there for a reason. It's to show the difference between the walks, the collection, the relaxation, the straightness as well, the ability to adjust. And I'd be going, thank God it's canter.
All right, so straight into the half past left from D on the centre line across to E.
When you're starting that half pass from the centre line, you have to be really careful in the setup because it's very obvious to the judge sitting on the centre line what you do or what you don't do.
That's right, and to be performed well, you should look like you turn onto the centre line and ride straight before you start the half pass. But there's always a little bit of cheating goes on, and people kind of include the turn into the half pass, and that can give an impression of falling sidewards, not jumping in balance sidewards.
I always think as a rider you should sit in the judge's box, because you think, oh, how did they see that? And they didn't see that, and you'd be surprised of what you can actually see sitting there at sea. It's actually quite a nice preparation going into the pirouette, but it just lost a little bit of the jump in the canter. So maybe a little too long in the preparation of the collected canter. It's got super changes. Very uphill and lots of air. Maybe don't collect so much early there, Hannah.
Yeah.
A little bit forward first.
It's a long time collecting.
But I should eat my words, because the pirouette was actually better. So these riders know their horses very well, and it's all very well to say you should do this or you should do that, but quite often the test is a compromise. It's where the riders go, well, I'm willing to go for it here, but here I'm going to sit a little quieter. And these changes look quite good. I shouldn't speak. Oh, I did speak too soon. But they definitely paint a lovely picture together. Very powerful looking horse. The judges are liking what they're seeing. We're trending on about 66%. So Hannah would have to be pleased with that.
And she's got a cheer squad in the spectators. Sounds great. We've got quite a few spectators. A bit early in the morning yet for those that have travelled down for the day to come and watch. But she's sort of trending on about 67. A mistake in the threes.
Expensive.
A little bit expensive for her, but her score is so a score for Hannah Rockwell and Bowman's Diarella of 66.716%. Personal best, well done Hannah, and putting her into second position currently. Still out in front is... I've just had a moment. Jessica Durtell. No, Clara Denny. Oh dear, forget that. Sorry. So this is Lucy Cochrane and Jumanji.
Very striking with his markings.
Yes, he's Jumanji's by Gymnastic Star, but I suspect that Mum must have had
some colour.
Some colour.
And it's very symmetrical. It almost looks like a map on his rump.
It's terrific placement on the. I know when you breed for colour, that's the sort of thing. That's the result you want.
And he definitely looks like a happy chappy, doesn't he? A little bit reluctant into the reinback.
Yeah.
Maybe he forgot that button. But showing some nice elasticity in his way of going. Is he a young horse?
Jumanji, you know, he's 14, so, well,
he looks young.
He's middle-aged.
He's got a nice looseness about the way that he travels.
Yeah, and he shows some nice crossing in the half pass. Got an ability to reach with his legs, freedom in the shoulder.
So probably for a higher mark, what would we want to see for a higher mark?
Oh, always we want to see a bit more bending through the body, and collection, have his more weight bearing on his hind legs. She's going along on about a 64, 65.
So it's the scores are quite close, aren't they?
They are indeed.
If you'd like to give a go at the spectators judging, you can download the app. You can see this horse being ridden in a snaffle bridle. They're judged exactly the same. People sometimes wonder why some come in a double bridle, 2 bits, or a snaffle. It's completely the preference of the rider. Some horses are more accepting of the snaffle bridle. Counting?
Counting. And well done. Yeah, and even for riders, you know, only having one rein to sort of think about is, I personally always much prefer to ride to snaffle. And it's a great thing, because in the old days, you know, at these levels you had to ride in a double, but sensibly the rules have changed, and they're sort of encouraging it more and more. Because if you can achieve the same result in a snaffle, then why not? And you should be able to, because in the double bridle, you really should ride on the snaffle. And the curb is just there for a little bit of accuracy sometimes.
So what would you say about the placement of those half pirouettes? Do you think they were a little too far into the arena?
Well, she was really aiming for X, and you certainly don't want to go after the marker. But, you know, I think in principle...
How did the judges see that?
The judges were relatively happy with both of them. She went somewhere from a 5.5 to a 6.5 in both pirouettes. Just always with this combination in canter is for more collection overall. But she's thrilled, and she'd be very happy to see she got an 8 from one judge for the 5 3 times. So
I really liked the expression.
And that was Lucy Cochrane riding Jumanji. Jumanji, a 14-year-old warm blood gelding by Gymnastic Star. And we've got a score for Lucy of 65.735% and 4th position.
Well done, Lucy.
Entering the arena area is Sophie Artup and Charisma Ballerine. Charisma Ballerine is a 13-year-old warm blood mare by Bellissimo M, owned by Jenny Stock and ridden by Sophie Artup. Currently in the lead in this young rider's individual test is Clara Denny on Bello Gallico on 67.5%. So we're back on in the arena with Charisma Ballerine, Sophie Artup.
This is your favourite colour, isn't it?
It is my favourite colour. So that when you change the bend there from half pass right into circle left, you actually have to think of pushing the horse out into the bend, not letting it come into the bend against your leg. And there's a couple of times I've watched people, the riders, let the horse kind of fall into the circle, and that, of course, shows a lack of suppleness.
Trending on about 66%. I always love that picture when they trot on the short side there and you see that gorgeous waterfall behind them.
Yeah, and that was a better change from one side, one bend to the other.
I'd love to go down there and walk on that arena though, because I'm a bit suspicious that most of those circles are on not evenly placed on either side of E and B.
Okay, yes.
But I'm not sitting on the side, but from here, I would like to see them placed better over E and B.
There's more half on one side than on the other.
That's what I'm saying.
Is that your suggestion?
That's my suggestion. Not a criticism.
Just a suggestion.
It makes the flow from the shoulder into the circle possibly get a higher mark.
Exactly. Yep. Well, these are the points, and we're with the young riders, and hopefully their coaches are helping them with some of these movements.
It's the position of the...
And some skill in the arena. You know, I'm sure...
Tricky intercanter there.
Yeah. I'm sure everyone's ridden countless circles, but the making that change from one movement to the next and making it look seamless, that's what we're here to try to do.
Well, I always say it's the joining bits. I call them the joining bits.
Yeah.
And people forget about the joining bits. They concentrate on the movement and not the connecting bits. And the connecting bits are where you do your preparation or where you set up for the next movement. And that can make, even if it's only half a mark.
Yep, makes a big difference across the whole test.
Just an observation, not a criticism.
Exactly. Changes were okay. Could have been ridden with a bit more power and energy.
little bit more motor going into that one would have possibly helped. Trending on about 64%, so it is a really tight competition for these combinations. There's not much room for error. Getting a 7 off across the board off the judges for the counter-canter. That starts to bring the marks up. Sophie looking very polished out there. They look like they've been together or going together. Harmony. Some nice scores there for the changes.
Yes, the final line of threes had a bit more oomph than the fours, and the judges saw the difference. So sitting on about 65.5 at the moment. And an official score of 65.441% for Sophie Artup and Charisma Bellarine. And just we've had a phone handed in here to the commentary box. It was found in the toilets. You'll have to come and ID it yourself. And also just to everyone, tonight at the restaurant and Bunker Cafe, there'll be music, there'll be food, there'll be dancing, there'll be probably a lot of noise and lots of happy people, and we'd love to all to come along. The bar will be open from 5:30. I believe there's a band. There'll be a band, so dancing shoes on.
Did you say bar?
And bar. Circling the arena is Kate Kiros riding Intro K, a 10-year-old Dutch stallion by Apache, and today ridden by Kate Kiros in this young rider class. Sponsored by Shepherd's Electrical.
So Apache, a very, very prolific sire of dressage horses, probably one of my favourite stallions.
Yes, one of my favourites. I actually, again, I saw him at Rotterdam, same show I saw Sennen actually, and I thought, oh, what a lovely horse. Sadly, Apache has left this world.
But he has definitely left a legacy.
But he certainly left a legacy, and I'm not sure how much frozen semen might be left, but produces a beautiful horse that looks like this one. So Kate's a lucky girl to have an Apache stallion.
Australia's lucky to have an Apache stallion.
Australia is, and hopefully we get to make use of his services.
So trending, a great start, and trending around the 72. He looks like he's got spring.
Yes, he really does. And it, you know, if you're springy and supple, this test is easier. Oh, good boy. Just brought that leg forward. Nice halt. Ooh. So if you're really counting, that was 6 steps. But probably more to the point was it was a little bit slow and not so enthusiastic.
Unlike the trot,
which is very enthusiastic. Yes.
And that's what I'm talking about, the circle being on either side. So very nice placement of the circle, my opinion.
Currently, she's racking up some very good marks.
What did she get for the circle?
Well, she got from a 7 to an 8.
See?
An extra mark, and also for the half pass beforehand. So here we're walking, extended walk,
and showing really lovely relaxation in that extended walk. Just looks easy, doesn't it? And that's what it should look like.
And we talk about, you know, easy's the word, harmonious and easy. And the rider with very discreet aids. And that's what we're all aiming. It's the aim. Dressage is about a harmonious picture. And you've still got to give aids. They don't just nothing just happens by itself. But if your horse is with you and is properly through to the bridle, then little tiny aids that you almost can't see.
I managed to do the counting this time.
Did you?
Yeah.
And?
It was super. Let's see if the judges agree with me. Oh, we've got an 8.
They do. So she's up above 70% in this test currently. And that was a really nice half pirouette.
Tidy.
Tidy and bang on the marker. It certainly earned its 8s, which is what it got.
Trending on 72%.
I'd probably go down a mark on that one. Not quite as well balanced and as much sitting. Ooh. I must have blinked.
You did blink.
Okay.
Again, some 8s coming across the board for the changes every third stride. Spectators agreeing with the judges here, trending on 71.
Just makes a good uphill halt. And she did. And so they'll be able to give that an 8 as well.
So Kate doing a supreme effort there for a relatively new combination together. She should be thrilled with that performance today. A big smile from her.
And we have a new leader in this competition. Well done to Kate Kiros and Intro K, a score of 72.402%. That's a wonderful score. Well done, Kate.
So entering the arena, we have Kate Dirtel riding Gladstone Jessica Dirtel, sorry.
This is Jessica Dirtel on Gladstone MH, a 12-year-old Dutch gelding by Bordeaux, owned by Samantha Thomas and ridden by Jess Dirtel, Gladstone MH.
So I used to compete against Jessica's mother way back when I started riding Arabians. So that was a long time ago. So very successful, competitive family. A lot of horses here over this weekend.
So going along quite nicely on about 67%. It's not quite as supple in both directions. But you call that an energetic reinback. So there's always this line between too much and too little, and in a reinback it's supposed to look, we like to use the word deliberate steps back, not rushing back but also not slow back,
And then directly
forward.
trending on about 69% currently. And really making the most of the arena here, Jessica.
Well, she's certainly been in it more than anybody else, so she's getting very confident herself with putting a horse through each horse that she rides. She's also doing a really good job of knowing her tests.
And each horse is slightly different too. Requires a different warm-up and a different mental plan from the rider. So none of this becomes automatic.
So that half pass left, half pass right performed quite fluently and easily. whereas in the change to the towards the right, we get the swinging quarters. And you can see that when you're doing the 5/4s. Going to the pirouette left. Good sitting.
Nice placement.
Good, nice placement. Stayed balanced.
And look at that, the spectators judging and the judges are bang on. Got some good judges at home.
Again, really accurate in that she rode positively out of the corner, then she collected, then she did the pirouette.
I'd actually give that one a high mark. I'll be interested to see.
Yes, at least a half a mark better than the previous one.
Definitely a very polished performance from Jessica here today. Painting a very elegant picture. I do like the orange on the boots. I'm a bit of an orange fan.
Except you're wearing red today.
I know, but...
So brave extended canter, earned her some big marks. And she's getting close to pushing the score to 70%.
Well done.
Probably not going to pip Kate Kiros at this point. But we'll see, because the scoring system here, very efficient. We'll have a result very quickly, thanks to Black Horse. And a score for Jessica Durtell and Gladstone MH, a lovely round 70%, putting her into second position in this class, with Kate Kiros out in front on 72.4, Jessica in second on 70, and Clara Denny in third place on 67.5. There are just 3 horses left in this class. Sponsored by Shepherd's Electrical. Next competitor into the arena will be Danielle McMahon, Remy Laurie's Joy, by Laurie's As, a 12-year-old mare, owned by Danielle and ridden by Danielle McMahon. Remy Laurie's Joy.
So this is a very interesting horse for those of you at home by Lorizaz, which was Grand Prix stallion, and out of another Grand Prix horse, For Joy, that was ridden by Kaz Rowe. So we can see here another horse well on its way to being a super competitive FEI horse from two very successful parents. How are we going? Bill?
Well, Danielle's began with some confidence, and judges are awarding that with 67% or so at the moment. It's also a horse with quite a lot of power because it's a little bit of a rounder style of horse. Suppleness left and right is a little less easy to show, and you have a little bit more length in the horse. It's easier to look more supple. So you have to be careful when you have a short coupled horse. You have to work on suppleness. But you have other qualities in a short coupled horse that allows you to be more, a collection to be more, well, easy, shall we say. Always advantages and disadvantages of every style of horse. Here we'd like, again, as I would have said, more supple to the left. And also she could have shown a bit more crossing, and I think that's just because it's not quite supple enough going left. But it's got a good freedom about it in the medium and extended paces. So Danielle going along, we're into the canter tour now.
Trending on about 65%.
And these two half passes more similar in placement and bend. So that will be, that will score well from the judges. Balance was good. It's nice and straight in its changes. They're quite established, quite strong in its changes.
Placement was well laid out.
You can see the preparation here for the pirouette. She's having to wait. Then as near to over-X as she could certainly do. Probably could have gone once, turned one stride earlier. In the counter-canter, we haven't really talked about counter-canter, but that means you're apparently on the wrong leg. It's not really the wrong leg, you just haven't changed yet, and the horse is flexed to the outside of the arena, and that's a balancing exercise as well. Oop. So
and
here,
also a little bit to do with the obedience of the horse, isn't
absolutely, that they don't change legs. So all the way through this corner, and then the change at A. And so bang on A and nicely uphill. That was really a good change, yeah.
And we were talking about the shapes of the horse. So this horse being a little bit more compact does have that ability to look a little bit more naturally with the pole high, the posture of the horse. She's trending quite well on 66%.
Yep, she's certainly going up in marks currently.
Flying change got a 7 there. Some very nice marks coming in.
And I think she can be very happy with herself and her horse. It's looking like she'll get 66 and a bit higher. And an official score for Danielle McMahon, Remy Laurie's Joy of 66.765% and putting her into 4th position. With just 2 more riders left in this class, we have the next rider to come down just on her way. A reminder about the party, music, band and food, bar, etc. available tonight here at Willinga Park. Please come and support it. Just down here at the cafe behind the indoor arena, starting from 5:30. And here's Bridget Dalmau riding Bon Jovi MH, a Hanoverian gelding by Bonifacius and ridden by Bridget Dalmau.
So entering the arena in this young rider's individual test here at Foresight Dressage by the Sea. If you're just tuning in, thank you. We're here for the whole day. We've got some exciting tests to come with the freestyles, so stay tuned. This horse starting very well. Presenting a lovely picture.
Just need a little bit more angle on that second shoulder in. Most of the angle was more in its neck rather than in where its legs, so it wasn't really on 3 tracks.
Definitely showing a lot of positive energy.
Oh, now they were 4 glorious steps, and it just didn't take the 5th. But that's what I meant by deliberate diagonal steps. So. And of course, becomes expensive because obviously 5 steps is harder to do than 4.
Not enough steps.
Not enough. But you made up for it with a cracking attempt at the extended trot. It's a big horse going around on a little circle, and that circle she probably undersized. So accuracy is one of those things that can be somewhat scoffed at, but there's a really good reason for being accurate, even in the way tests are written, because if you ride an 8-metre circle, that's obviously harder than riding a 10-metre circle, hence why in this test it's 8. But if you underride it and ride a 7-metre circle, you're making your life harder.
Yeah.
And it shows that either your placement is poor, or you're not looking where you should be, or your horse is falling in.
But sometimes that makes the setup for the next movement more difficult as well.
But Bridget's going along. She's kind of got some ups and downs in her test. There's some real highlights, the extended trot, and she's trending on about 66%. So places where she can make more marks next time. Here we'd like to see bigger strides and a bit less swinging. Okay, and then that half pirouette would have been improved with more left suppleness. Oh, and so now that will be costly, because that's what we were saying about the counter-canter. It was a test of obedience, and so he fell back to trot and consequently missed the flying change at A. Right down to a 2. Now that's because she didn't perform it. Much better on this side. Also did a good job with the pirouette beforehand. So in this test, as I said, she's really given the judges a chance to use the scale of marks. And as a rider, if you make a mistake, you don't want to be rewarded with a half-hearted mark and then make a good job and only get a little tiny bit more. You'd much prefer to get a good mark for doing something well and a clear, not so good mark for when you do it badly. Trending at about 65.5. Clearly capable, without some errors, of being a lot higher. And we have a score for Bridget Dalmau and Bon Jovi of 64.755% and currently 9th position, with one last competitor in this class. And then there'll be a little break until 11 o'clock, just a short break, when we come back for the Grand Prix CDN Freestyle.
So we welcome to the arena Cody Tupper riding MacArthur Bel Air. 11-year-old Gelding by Bellissimo M. We'd like to thank our sponsors, Foresight, Dressage by the Sea 2023. If you're just tuning in, you're watching the last horse in the young rider individual test. Cody Tupper. So Cody showing some good crossover there in the half pass. Quite a powerful looking horse. Trending on about 67%. Square into the halt. And again, nice diagonal steps backwards, but I counted 4. And she's off again in the medium trot. So I'd like to see a little bit more collection in that counter canter. Changed, in my opinion, was a little bit long. So for a better mark, just that little bit more sitting, a little bit more weight on the hind legs. The change is actually quite nice. But the picture of the counter canter. Definitely a very impressive gelding with a lot of ability. She's obviously happy with that. She's given him a little pat. That's what we like to see, happy riders with their horses. Just trending on about 65. Looks very good from straight on.
And so that's brought them up to more over 66%. Move her up a couple of positions as a result. Very close competition indeed. Couple at the very top, sort of standout ones, and then the rest of the class all very similar and not much in it, and only points gained and lost by finesse, really, finesse in riding the test. And so we have a score, a score for Cody Tupper riding MacArthur Bel Air, our final combination, into the arena of 66.177% and ranking her in 6th place. So just to give you a final result in this class. So in 1st place, Kate Kiros on Intro K on 72.40%. In 2nd place, Jessica Durtell riding Gladstone on 70%. 3rd, Clara Denny, Bello Gallico on 67.54%. 4th, Danielle McMahon, Remy Laurie's Joy, 66.76%. 5th, Hannah Rockwell, Bowman's De Lorella, 66.7%. 6th, Cody Tupper, MacArthur Bel Air, and 66.17%. Well done to all our young riders. Very shortly, starting at 11 o'clock, will be our first freestyle competition. That's the musical time. Starting at 11 o'clock, it's the Grand Prix Freestyle CDN. And so spectators, both at home and out there in the seating, time to have a quick stretch and get yourself a coffee.
Download your app.
Download your Spectators app so you can be part of the fun, and come back for 11 o'clock. And we're just getting ready now for the Grand Prix Freestyle CDN class. It's sponsored today by Antares Saddles and Denise Rogan Dressage. Our judges for this class: at H, Stephen Clark from Great Britain; at C, Susan Hobson from New Zealand; and at B, Jabina Kennedy from New South Wales. Our first competitor into the class will be Robin Smith and Gwendolyn Luca, and they are, I think, nearly on their way.
So we've got two freestyles to see here today, haven't we, at Grand Prix? The first one being a national class.
That's correct. This is a national class. We had a large number of entries in this class, and we've only got to, we take the top 12 into the class. So we're seeing the top end of the field from yesterday performing today in the freestyle. And as you probably all know, in a freestyle, there are set movements that the riders must do, but they do them in whatever order or pattern that they like. And that's what makes the class interesting.
So they choreograph it with the music.
And that's right, they choreograph it with the music. And so it should look like a dance. That's kind of the aim. And that means they can highlight their horses' good features and cover up perhaps some of their lesser work. So it's a Grand Prix test, so they'll still have to show 1 times changes, 2 times changes, piaffe and passage, half pass left and right. But you'll see different patterns and you'll hear different music. So we're just waiting now for Robin Smith and Gwendolyn Luca.
So our first horse into the arena will actually be Katina Smith and Just Dance. We're expecting her at 11:08.
Our first competitor in the Grand Prix Freestyle CDN, sponsored by Antari Saddles and Denise Rogan Dressage. Today is Katina Smith riding Just Dance, a 17-year-old warm blood gelding by Jive Magic, owned by Katina and bred by Heath and Rosie Ryan.